This German club has one of the best youth ratings in Football Manager, but in real life, they're struggling in the Bundesliga second division. As at the moment of recording this video, Hertha Berlin are closer to the relegation zone, sitting in 14th place in the second Bundesliga. Our plan in this challenge is to take Hertha Berlin back into the Bundesliga. And according to research, Hertha Berlin has never won a European trophy, and the last time they won the Bundesliga was way back in 1931. We will try to win the Bundesliga sometime in future, and then at some point also win a European trophy along the way. Our first season hasn't gone down so well. We're currently sitting outside the promotion places in 5th place. I've also used that time to assess the squad and spot those players that I would want to keep, and also some of the older players that I would like to sell off to other clubs. We haven't got the best finances at the moment, so we'll have to rely on our youth players with good potential to actually carry us through this period. At the end of our disappointing first season, we finished in 5th place. But it wasn't all bad. I had the time to actually find a very good head of youth development for my team, which could actually help us have better youth intake in the future. Since we haven't got a lot of money, we're planning not to make any signings for next season. This will help us save a bit of money so that in case we get promoted next season, we will have a bit of money to spend. In our second season, we performed better. We won over 20 games, drawing 10, and only losing 3 times all season. I know that sounds a bit average, but it helped us secure promotion and also win the Bundesliga 2 title in our second season. Now remember, we haven't made signings, and despite our promotion, our board has refused to actually improve the club's youth facility, training facility, or even the youth recruitment, saying that this is due to the club's current financial situation, and I think I understand. So we've made it to the Bundesliga now, and this is the way our first few games actually went. It was kind of difficult, to be honest. Our star fullback in Michael Carbonwick actually decided to move to Fulham. He put in a transfer request that he wanted to leave the club, and I didn't really know what to do, but I had to let him go because I don't want to have any difficulty having dealing with player morale and all this kind of stuff. So as at the 1st of October, we're sitting in 9th place in the league, and if you look at most of our fixtures that we've gone on to play, we've had some difficult games in there, even though the season is yet to really get going. We got on to get a draw against Borussia Dortmund. The only good thing about that draw was actually the fact that we didn't concede a goal, but then we went on to lose our next 2 games to HSV Hamburger and of course Augsburg. We did get some wins in there against Regensburg, and of course Wolfsburg was a very tight game. We did get a player sent off, but the first goal that we got was enough to actually help us win the game 1-0. We maintained our 9th place position up until the turn of the year. So in January, you can see we still have minus 10 goal difference, and we're just in and around mid-table. So it's kind of going well. It's almost like an up and down season in the Bundesliga. We lost 4-0 to VSP Stuttgart. We did go on to lose 6-0 against Bayern Munich. So I did think that my defense was going well, but not as well as I thought. A good team like Bayern was actually able to destroy us completely. I think I'm just going to take it and try and use that period to ask the board to upgrade any other facilities that we could. If you look at our finances, we have 30 million balance. Everything is going good now. If we kind of maintain this throughout the entire season, we'll probably be okay. So we can then start worrying about who we can go ahead and sign players and stuff like that. And now to the end of the season, we're able to jump 2 places into the European places in 7th place. Well, I think we're going to have to play playoffs, finishing 7th. We still finished with a negative goal difference after 34 games, minus 9 goal difference. And we look at the overall competition stats this season, looking at the teams, you see that Bayern had the most goals. We're not even in top anything, not even in the top 8, to be honest. Shots against, they were not in anything, to be honest. Just looking at points per game. Okay, points per game, we had 1.38, which is not so bad for your first season in the Bundesliga after getting promoted. Most possession, we're not in there. Fewest conceded, we're not in there. We've kind of conceded a lot of goals, so we need to sort out our defense, especially that 6-0 defeat against Bayern Munich. But altogether, we kind of finished in the European Conference League places, so it might be my first time playing in the Conference League, to be honest, on Football Manager, which is strange, really. We did get knocked out from the second round by Bayer Leverkusen in the DFB Pokal, altogether losing 13 games, but winning 13 as well. So that level of mid-table kind of takes you into Europe in Bundesliga for some reason. So Hertha Berlin, we've got our first European place. So this is our chance to actually secure 1 European trophy next season. We're going to see how that's going to go. But right now, so far so good. We've been able to maintain our position in the Bundesliga. We're not fighting against relegation. We can go ahead and ask the board to do something. We can go back to, is it Club Vision? Yeah. We can go ahead and try and coerce the board into doing something for us. So you can just ask the facilities for them to improve the training facilities, which is quite good, to be honest. So I like the fact that we can actually go ahead and do that. Let's see what else we can actually ask the board to do at this point. Okay, we can get a senior. Okay, we don't really need a senior affiliate at this point. So basically just the training facilities, that's what I would go for. If you look at our club info right now, we've been able to get some improvement coming in there. Youth recruitment is no longer 14, it's now 15. So the club is going to invest in all of that. And they're working on the youth facility as well to try and get us up and running. Coaching Academy is now 16, so we're trying to push every number in here in the facilities column to get good value so we can go ahead and, secure our place as a top German club, and then we can start pushing for major trophies. So we'll see how our next season in the Bundesliga goes. Before the start of our new season in the Bundesliga, we had to go ahead and sign some players. For signings, I focused on replacing my fullback that actually went on to join Fulham, so I had Sanusi Ba as one of the players that I went on to sign from Braunschweig. He has crossing 11 and also marking 11. There's a lot of improvement that could actually come in here because he's a 23-year-old and he's the kind of player that has those traits. I also went on to sign Max Fingrafi. He was my main target, to be honest. If you look at his player attributes, he has crossing of 12, marking is also 11, but he possesses good pace as well. And he's only 23, just like Bar, and there's a lot of depth to come in that area now. Even though I lost one player, I kind of earned two players that are quite good. Now, as far as our European ambitions are concerned, we have to postpone that to next season. We missed out on a huge opportunity to actually go into Europe by losing to Crvena Zvezda, the team they call Red Star, but the football manager is Crvena Zvezda. We lost to them in the playoff round of the UEFA Europa Conference League, which is quite disappointing, to be honest. But in the league, we didn't do that badly. We're still in the DFB Pokal. In fact, we're actually in the quarterfinal of that competition, and in the league we're actually in 4th place. We've lost 4 games, won 9 and drawn 3, and we already have 30 points, and we are in the Champions League places. It's looking quite good for our second season, to be honest, and I kind of like the way that is. Our last 2 games we had back-to-back victories over Borussia Dortmund and Bayer Leverkusen. In our last 2 games we had a narrow 1-0 victory over Borussia Dortmund and a complete 3-0 victory over Bayer Leverkusen. It looks pretty now, but trust me, before that we got thrashed 5-1 by RB Leipzig. By the end of the season, we retained our 4th place finish in the Bundesliga, but I can't believe I'm about to say that I'm actually disappointed we qualified for the Champions League. I feel we haven't got the right squad depth in it to actually compete in that competition, so I would have preferred to play in maybe the Conference League or the Europa League, but we'll just see how that goes. We went on to win the DFB Pokal, by the way. We met VfB Stuttgart in the final. There was an early goal from Oliver Ruke to give us the lead. Less than 10 minutes later, Stuttgart got their equalizer. We did manage to hold on throughout the first half and not concede a goal, but in the second half, Jon Portenstein grabbed a second goal for us, taking us one step closer to the DFB Pokal title. 12 minutes from time, Portenstein went on to score his second goal of the game, giving us a 3-1 lead over Stuttgart to help us secure our first trophy in this challenge. Now, financially, we're looking really good. We have about 50 million in the bank to spend and over 98 million in overall balance. I don't know what that's going to come for in the future, but I kind of like just seeing it there to know that we have some money. I'm tempted to reinvest all that money into training facilities and youth facilities and all this kind of stuff, but I know that we are in the Champions League, so we may have to sign some quality players. So we're here in our next season in the Bundesliga, what I'm going to call season 5, and while I was boasting about all the top signings that I wanted to make, it kind of look difficult to actually do that here. Maybe there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I still have 41 million in the bank to actually spend, so we're going to look into the future if we go ahead to get more players. But one player I've been able to sign for my team is John Duran from Aston Villa. He's the one striker that we needed. My team has been lacking in depth, especially in the forward position. I know I needed a good striker, and John Duran was not really doing well at Aston Villa, so he was available, and then I went ahead to decide to sign him. And then you can look at all the other players. Are mostly 15-year-old players that I'm signing for my youth team to try and build a super youth team in the future. And now the 1st of July, we've gone on to complete our dealings, and I've went ahead to spend the entire 40 or 50 million that we had to spend. But if you look at the players that we brought in, John Duran, you already know about. We also brought in this fantastic attacking midfielder, Franco Mastantuono from River Plate. He's quite good if you look at his player attributes. Good attacking midfielder, good striker as well. Very good finishing, good acceleration. His passing could use a bit of work, but he has vision and he has a lot of development to do. That's why I actually brought him in. He has that good flair that can actually dribble. We also brought in Kane Chukwuemeka from Bayer Leverkusen. He was at Bayer Leverkusen. He wasn't playing. I actually spent only like 1 million on Kane Chukwuemeka, to be honest. Yeah, 1.4 million. And then my best signing of the summer transfer window is my goalkeeper that has the best name I've ever seen. He's a Brazilian goalkeeper signed from Groningen, and he is Roberto Baggio. And if you look at him, there not much for eccentricity, even though I want a goalkeeper to have that, but he has every other attribute as well. He's also 5-star rated, 19-year-old young goalkeeper. He could actually be the spine of my team, so I'm going to have to depend on him a lot. But how about that for a name, Roberto Baggio from Brazil. Now, our first competitive game of the new season came against Bayern Munich in the Super Cup, German Super Cup, and it was actually quite a tough game, to be honest. I didn't expect my team to actually play so well, but Bayern went ahead in the first half through Ilya Zabani. He gave them a 1-0 lead in the 15th minute, and Martin Dada actually got us back leveled more like 6 minutes later on. And much later, before the end of the first half, we actually got ahead by Julius Gottschalk, one of our new signings that we actually brought in. And in the second half, John Duran, our new centre forward, went ahead to give us a 3-1 lead, and I kind of felt comfortable at this point. To be honest, my second trophy already against Bayern Munich. Our first game in the Champions League came away at Stade Rennais, and it was quite a comfortable game at first. Kevin Sessa actually gave us the initial goal by scoring 10 minutes into the game, And just before halftime, Sumali Koulibaly actually got the second goal for us, actually gave us a comfortable 2-0 lead. We stayed quiet for a while and I kind of got nervous because when the AI starts conceding 2 goals, they start to get back and be more attacking in the game. But in the 78th minute, Dennis hastened back, one of our ball-winning midfielders that we bought recently, actually gave us a 3-0 lead, very comfortable, and actually helped us win our first UCL game. In the league, we weren't doing that badly. We lost one game, which came against our enemy RB Leipzig, and we're sitting in 5th place after winning 3 of our first 4 games. The board expectation is for us to avoid relegation, and I think we're doing quite well with that. In our third game in the Champions League, we played host to Arsenal, one of the top dogs in this competition as far as Football Manager is concerned. Gabriel Martinelli gave them an early lead in the 9th, and then in the second half, Luis Enrique went on to get the second goal of the game to give them a convincing 2-0 victory. As the season progressed, it got a bit harder and harder, and in the Champions League, we did drop down the table all the way into the playoff places in 12th place. After playing 6 games, we only won 3, drew once and lost twice. We still had to find a way to secure our place in the playoffs, but that was a good opportunity for us. And in the league, we had already lost 6 times and then we dropped down into 6th place, just behind Eintracht Frankfurt. And in the DFB Pokal, we got knocked out by Werder Bremen in the 3rd round. Our next 2 Champions League games are going to test our mettle as we had to play against FC Bayern Munich and Juventus. FC Bayern Munich completely destroyed us by 6-1, and it was not something worth watching. The game against Juventus presented our last opportunity to stay in the Champions League, and for this game I actually changed our system. John Duran put us a goal ahead early on. Just before halftime, Tim Weah actually gave Juventus an equalizer. And in the 57th minute, Kevin Sessa gave us a well-deserved 2-1 victory. The playoff round saw us travel to Netherlands for the first leg against Feyenoord, and we did go on to lose that game 1-0. And at this, I think I wasn't really scared of Feyenoord, even though we lost the first leg. I felt like at home we'd actually win them. And being that it was only 1 goal, going into the second leg, we completely destroyed Feyenoord by 4-0 to advance into the round of 16 of the Champions League. And I will be completely honest with you, I think we got the best of draws in the Champions League, as we were set to face Real Madrid in the round of 16 of the Champions League. Yeah, don't worry, there were no surprises in here. Real Madrid actually went on to beat us in the first leg and second leg by the same scoreline. At home, Real Madrid beat us 3-0. Vinicius Junior scoring twice and Kylian Mbappe getting one of the goals. And in the second leg, it was the same scoreline. Takahiro Tomiyasu actually getting a goal this time, and Kamavinga also stepping in, and the complete aggregate score was 6-0. We were no match for Real Madrid. With only 3 games to go in the Bundesliga now, I do like to consider this particular season done, and I think we've done quite well considering that we're supposed to avoid relegation. Now we are a cemented mid-table team, so I think the first challenge, I also like the fact that we finished in 5th place and not 4th, so now we can walk about looking at the Europa League or the Europa Conference League depending on how the season goes ahead to finish, and we'll see if we can actually go ahead and win those trophies. Now, at the start of the new season, we did go on to make up some good signings for our team. If you look at our transfer history, I did go on to bring in some players on a free transfer. One of the key players for us here is Oliver Skip. We brought him as a defensive midfielder to come in for us. He has good anticipation, good aggression, so I can actually use him as a ball-winning midfielder if I want. I also brought in Elliot Anderson to play as an attacking midfielder, another very good player from England. And we can see here that Lewis Hall is the 3rd player that I actually brought in on a free transfer. He also has good acceleration, good physical attributes as well, and also very good composure. The only players I spent money on was Patrick Osterhage, and he is a German player that actually plays in the central midfield position, another solid defensive midfielder. And then I went on to sign Shunye Hagesawa. He's actually a wonder kid from Japan, so I'm actually hoping that something turns out very good from this guy. I'm not really sure what to expect from him, but he looked like a very good player, so I went on to bring him in. By the turn of the year, we actually sat in 2nd place in the Bundesliga after 19 games. We had 35 points, and Bayern Munich were top of the league with 44 points. It looked quite good the way it was going. It seems like everything was actually working out in our favor. And if we look at the other cup competitions, we're actually in the DFB Pokal in the quarterfinal, and in the UEFA Europa League, we're in the playoff places, currently in 6th position. We've actually lost once, drew once, and won 5 of those games. So we're sitting comfortably, but I just don't want to fall below the top 8 because I actually need to get into the knockout phases of the UEFA Europa League. In our last 2 games, we did go on to beat Feyenoord 3-1 in the UEFA League phase, the penultimate game, and we have one more game coming up against Villarreal. And we also went on to beat FC Bayern Munich just before the Feyenoord game. We actually won them comfortably by 2-0. In our final game in the Europa League, we went on to beat Villarreal by 4-0 to secure our place in the UEFA Europa League knockout phase. We do have 2 strong matches coming up against Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig. I don't know why they always put these 2 games very close together, but it kind of tests our mettle a little bit. Tough as it may be, League going into the Signal Iduna Park, we did go on to beat Borussia Dortmund by 3-0. Goals from John Duran and Dennis Hazenbach actually helped us secure a 3-0 victory in that game. At home against RB Leipzig, Dennis Schenhan actually got our initial goal of the game, scoring 1-0. Just after half an hour, Elliot Anderson actually doubled our lead for us in the game that actually was supposed to be difficult, but it turns out we're doing quite well. Just before halftime, John Duran actually got the third goal for us, and you'd be surprised actually how we held on to win the game 3-0. In our first round of 16 game against Ludogorets, we actually coasted through that game in the first leg and second leg, winning completely by 7-2 on aggregate. In the league, we're doing quite well. We had 55 points and we sat in second place, but Bayern Munich were first with 71 points. It's almost like they were far above us in the league, and we're just like the first in every other team that was actually in the Bundesliga. Our next opponent in the UEFA Europa League actually saw us face Manchester United. At Old Trafford, it wasn't easy. The only thing that separated us and Manchester United was the Bruno Fernandes penalty, and that was actually enough to help Manchester United seal off that victory. Going into the second leg, Lugo Puljic actually put us in front early on in the game, but we had to find a way to hold on to that game and win 1-0. With the match leveled at 1-1 on aggregate, we had to settle the score on penalties. Brian Roberts stepped up to take the most important penalty of the match for Manchester United, and he missed from the spot, which saw us progress to the next round of the UEFA Europa League. In the semi-final, we went on to face Feyenoord, a team that we had beaten before in the league phase of the Europa League, but I thought this game was going to be easy. We did go ahead to score the first goal, but it turns out after going 2-0 ahead, Feyenoord actually snuck one goal back just after the hour mark, and it was enough for them to actually get something in the game. So we won that first game 2-1. And in the second leg, just after halftime, Quentin Timber actually got one goal for Feyenoord, and at this point we were already on the edge of our seats. It was leveled on aggregate 2-2, and we had to find a way to get something back in the game. We were not able to do that, so we had to face another penalty shootout against Feyenoord. Dennis Hazenbach missed his penalty really early, but I kid you not, Feyenoord did not miss a spot kick throughout the entire tournament, and they went on to score the final kick to send them through to the next round, in fact to the final of the Europa League, and then we couldn't go any further from here. We went on to lose to Feyenoord, heartbreaking as it was, to be honest. But the season was not a complete disappointment. We went on to win the DFP Pokal, and also in the league we finished in 4th place. We did go on to drop from the 2nd place position that we were in, but remember, we were closer to 3rd and 4th than we were to Bayern, so I was expected that it was eventually going to come down towards the latter stage of the season. Borussia Dortmund finished 2nd, RB Leipzig finished 3rd, and we were in 4th place, narrowly qualifying for the UEFA Champions League. Pre-season is over now, and we've done some business. We actually brought in Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest on a free transfer, and we also wanted to bring William Michael Brennix. He's a French player that actually plays as a right back. Quite a good player because I like his crossing and his marking. I noticed that my fullbacks don't really have good marking, so seeing him actually play as a player that has good marking might help us in the fullback position. And then we're lacking in the striker position. Last time, every player that I went on to sign kept on telling me that if I need to get their contract signed, I need to improve our attackers. I went on to sign Jonathan Seneschal from RC Lens. He's a wonder kid, I think. 6'3", good acceleration, good pace, good first touch. Bravery could use a bit of work, but he's a very good striker. Another French player that I brought into the squad, and hopefully he's going to be my main striker throughout this particular season. I did go on to let some other players go. I went on to sell Roberto Baggio to Borussia Dortmund by 4.6 million, but this was more like they triggered his release clause than us actually selling him, to be honest. But it is what it is. You can lose your top players to a better team if you're not careful in Football Manager, but that's actually how it turned out. It did get us some money though, so it's for us to go ahead and invest that money to find a better goalkeeper that can probably do the job just like Baggio did last season. Now, I gave it one last try in the year 2030. It's been a long journey, and we've actually tried to turn Hertha Berlin into a top German team. In our current season, there are 2 games to go. We are not able to qualify for the Champions League, but we're able to get into the Europa League, finishing in 5th place. In our last 2 games, we went on to beat Heidenheim by 4-1 and also thrash Hoffenheim by 6-2. But in the Champions League, we really struggled. We got knocked out by Barcelona in the round of 16 in a very, very narrow game. If you look at the way the match actually turned out, you can see that the first leg we lost to Barcelona by 1-0 at home. Lamine Yamal got the 1 goal for them, and then in the second leg we went on to lose 2-1. Even though Elliot Anderson got a late goal for us, it wasn't enough to actually help us push Barcelona, so we got knocked out in round of 16. As a club, I feel we've improved. All our training facilities and youth facilities and Euro equivalents is all 20 and above now. So as it is, the club has the potential to actually go ahead and compete for the Europa League and win it. I feel we can actually win it if we go ahead for one more season, and even the Champions League, we should be able to compete in the Champions League at that next season. We gave it one more go with Hertha Berlin, and difficult as it was to ignore the league and the cup competition and try to win the Europa League, the best we could do was actually get into the final. It was a difficult gameplay against Brighton, and the Seagulls went ahead by 2-0. At that point, I thought that the game was over, but we somehow found a way to sneak back into it. Much later in the game, Morgan Gibbs-White had a chance to draw us level from the penalty spot, and he made absolutely no mistake. Brighton would go on to break our hearts, scoring their third goal of the game to win the final 3-2. It was heartbreaking. We did our best to try and actually win this competition, but it wasn't good enough. Thanks for watching this video. If you did enjoy the content, remember to leave a like on it. And if you have any more recommendations for teams that we can go ahead and rebuild or other challenges that we can do in Football Manager, do let me know in the comment section as well. I'll see you in the next video.